Yeah, so that obviously helps with the Ursa taking Roshan if you win a fight, because you definitely don't need the lifesteal then. You just keep on going, you keep on disarming the Roshan.
Yeah, for sure.
Even got additional lockdown now with the Shaker there as well. So like this lineup, I feel like VP need another hero that fights strong at Roche, right?
Willow helps, and Brewmaster's nice. It's still, you kind of need someone that can be in the thick of things and actually frontline your Roche.
Well, there you go.
Like that.
There you go. I do really like the Earthshaker here. I'm a huge fan of Earthshaker when there's a lot of heroes on the enemy team where, like, Venge, will save somebody, so you kind of need somebody to deal with her in the fight. Brewmaster, you need to prevent him from using the ultimate. Willow, if you can get some lockdown on her before she gets her W off. And of course, she has the ultimate. She basically has like 3 ultimate abilities. So instead of just picking a bunch of single target ways to deal with the Brewmaster, the Venge, and the Dark Willow, and now the Troll, you just pick one Earthshaker. And you kind of use the AoE of the Earthshaker not as a way to do AoE damage in the fight. It's more so about locking down in an AoE so that you can single target burst the Brew or the Willow without the other heroes just saving and coming in and counter initiating. Like that is ironically one of the best ways to have single target focus in a fight is to have these giant AoE abilities such as Earthshaker Fissure and Echo Slam and Tidehunter Ravage and Faceless Void Chrono, because it's like, well, I'm just going to stop the fight with the AoE. We're going to pick off who we want, and then it's a 4v5, and all of a sudden, that's not a fight for you,
Here's a thought for you, Jenkins. Right, we don't really see Shaker in the offlane anymore. You are an offlaner. Like, this is your nerdgasm area. What is stopping this hero from being viable and desirable in the offlane right now?
I think honestly, it's a decent offlaner. I would say probably the ability to, number one, he's not excellent at pressuring a lot of heroes in the lane. So I would say that like you can't really pressure a troll that hard unless you have a pretty huge lead or a hero that's really good with you. And then also, he doesn't have much of a way to safely push out waves that doesn't cost a lot of mana or him just sitting on the wave. Like Darkseer, Nature's Prophet, all of these offlaners have some sort of way, for the most part, to sit in a lane and be really tanky or push out the lane, and you cause the enemy team to have to commit a lot to kill you. Whereas with Earthshaker, if you're just sitting in a lane, they'll kind of kill you. However, I don't think it's bad. Like I would argue Brew is relatively similar to that, where it's hard for Brew to instantly push out a lane. He has the clap, sure, but you have to sit there hitting the creeps. Like it's not an insta-kill of the creep wave, so there's potential to kill Brew, and we see Brews dying a lot, and as a result, like they just look to fight with the ultimate as early as possible, as opposed to being that hero that's sitting in the lane. So you don't really have that option as these two offlaners in sitting in a lane and pressuring it, because what is your pressure in a lane when it comes to like actually pushing the creeps? Like a Brew clap, a Fissure? It's not that great.
I guess the comparison is the setup value, right? Like Shaker, it's harder to get in for an Echo Slam, whereas Brewmaster ults and chases you down. And actually, looking at this right now, Gambit kind of seem to have a lack of hard initiation, right? Unless they can get those blinks on Shaker and Ursa. Do you think we need to see something to round out Web as something that, without items, can actually get you in, like we saw from things like Batrider previously?
I still believe in the Darkseer a bit for Gambit. I still think that would be fairly useful for them, just to be able to get in, both help the Ursa as well as the Earthshaker early on with the Surge, just to run on top. But I'm not sure if that's what they would want to go for. Speaking about the Earthshaker as well, it feels like he fits more into a meta where you can kind of rotate early towards your mid lane and help with the Fissure or stop a gank, whereas with these heroes like Brewmaster and stuff, it's like now with how the fights are, you just get 6 and then you kind of, whereas Earthshaker is a lot more efficient being able to help out even earlier on, but then you lose out so much.
Love this hero.
And joining him in the everywhere on the map game will be the Tinker coming out.
That's a big counter. The regen nerfs, well, I shouldn't say nerfs. The regen changes, because technically for some heroes it's a buff, did hurt Tinker a lot, and his mana costs are pretty high. Like Sheepstick mana cost is really high now, so it's a lot weaker of an item on him, because you get like 2 less hexes in your entire mana pool. However, with that being said, the changes to the camps, where there are camps that you can march out the mid creep wave, especially on the Radiant side, which VP's on, you can march out the mid creep wave while also marching the medium camp. Like 2 for 1, that's nuts. You can just stack it every minute and get completely huge. And then also, there's so many camps that are close together now that you can farm all together with the new changes to the jungle. So I think Tinker is in a pretty decent spot right now. It's just that the sheep build is a little bit worse, and it's very good as a counter to the Nature's Prophet hero.
Especially on Radiant side as well, like you mentioned. It's not just the mid lane, but it's just a lot of farming you have access. And there's not really a hero that will take up that space from you either. I mean, sure, Troll likes to farm some, but he'll probably stick to the ancient area and the triangle, and then you can kind of take the rest of the jungle if you feel like that. Or you have 2 or even 3 camps where you can just like hit all the camps at the same time.
Troll's a nice hero too for fighting at the, if he has a good lane, which it looks like his lane could be pretty decent against Nature's Prophet Earthshaker if they give him a little bit of support up there. But if he has a decent early game, he can fight during the time where Tinker needs to farm Boots of Travel, and then once Tinker can get active, Troll can kind of go to the farming sort of strat, while Tinker is pressuring with the Boots of Travel. Like I feel like they pass the baton really nicely of creating and taking space from each other, just given when they want to fight. It's like almost like a Juggernaut too, where you can fight early, but then you end up farming when the Tinker can fight.
I think you can even hold off on building, if you want to go for a Battle Fury build, you can even hold off on it and get 1 item in between with this just to create the space for the Tinker to actually be able to come online even further. So you just go for a Drums or maybe just a lifesteal into Vlad's or even just a Yasha, and then fight a bit with that, let the Tinker get his bots, and then once he's got that, you go back, pick up the Battle Fury, and then you just start scaling way more into late game if you want to go for a late game strat.
Agreed. Even maybe like a couple of stat items, like a couple Wraith Bands, Wand,
definitely.
Face Boost, just look to fight. That'd be really good.
So I guess
they smoked up on Gambit though.
Yeah, they did come out pretty early. I guess the way to look at the drafts, right, is from what you're saying, VP, they have this kind of flexibility of roles where if something doesn't go according to plan, they have the backup. Whereas I'd say Gambit is more kind of locked with this Ursa that I want to fight, I want to Roche, and then you're always going to expect this split push of Prophet. There's more of a, I guess you could say, a solid line plan for Gambit, but it has less branch off opportunities, has less variables you can work with.
Yeah, I'm torn on this game, man, because I love Nature's Prophet. Like when you say, Gambit, they don't have the farming potential maybe that VP has, where they can just fall back on the farm. I look at Nature's Prophet, I see a 60-second Wrath of Nature cooldown that hits for, 7,000 damage across the map at level 1. If you include all the damage on all the creeps, so like pushes out all the waves. I feel like with Nature's Prophet, you actually can fall back and farm just by virtue of this hero being able to be everywhere and push out all the waves that you can safely jungle. But then you're dealing with the Tinker Troll, so these heroes are very quick at farming. They're very strong in the late game. They're like your hyper carries. It's hard to say who would win this one going late, actually.
See how it's gonna go. The start of his lanes, checking the blocks on the mid. Afon. I think this might end up straight bang center by the looks of it. No one really getting a clear advantage here. Sorry, nobody getting. There we go. I knew it was gonna happen at least once. It catches you out, you just kind of like, this is a word in my vocabulary, and it shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the mid matchup actually is with OD against Tink. I haven't seen it in a very long time personally, so curious to see how that's gonna go.
Yeah, because they both have obvious ways of just ruining each other's CS. So it's not the one way that we usually see these days with OD just skewering ahead by the third wave by 2 or 3 CS.
I think if you're Tinker, you look to just love maybe 2-2 max March build, something like that. You just want to farm. It's just so easy for an OD who's 314 movement speed to set up on a 290 movement speed Tinker and use the Astral and have some gank happen on him. Like the moment it hits nighttime, I think you're going to pray that you have 2 points in March on Tinker, at least at that point. So you may as well. Problem with Provad.
Huh. I guess it's your nuclear deterrent, right? Because if we talked about the Shaker earlier and he'll try for those fissure ganks potentially, if he does that, you've maxed out machines. Good luck. Good luck standing that march, because you're probably going to die if you try and commit onto the kill on Tinker then.
And then you have to run past the creep wave too, because he can just constantly keep it pushed in. So you'd have to gank him in his jungle. But on the Radiant side, it's so easy to just tango one of these trees to the right. And, jungle safely. You can pull it into your mid tower, for God's sakes. Jungle.
It's one of the kind of interesting things about the Radiant side of the map in the mid is while you do have that jungle camp there, it's a lot easier to gank or defend against ganks compared to the Dire side.
For sure. I think Radiant mid is significantly significantly better than dire mid.
And it's like you mentioned with the march as well, just tangoing that tree and then marching the mid wave at the same time as you farm the medium camp is very easy, or fairly easy, and then obviously if you hit the tree, then the creeps are going to keep on running towards mid for you, so you're going to get full damage on them.
Yep. Even if OD sat mid and denied everything, you'd still get more experience because you're getting the creep jungle experience as well.
Yeah.
Bot lane, Earthshaker, messing with the pull a little bit. That was pretty nice. Unfortunately, no, he got it. Yeah, he messed with it.
Snack did come out, but yeah, the pull.
That's one way to be useful with this hero. It's a lot harder to gank the mid lane because the towers are so close together. Earthshaker does not have the impact that he used to in the laning stage, but if you can do little things like that, where you just stop a pull from happening, that's kind of exactly what you would want your 4-roll to be doing if it's like a typical lane support.
Definitely feels like a lot of teams are drafting the Shaker, and his lane presence at the moment is more defensively focused, right? Because you see someone like an Ursa, not in this case they got it on his team, but say an Ursa was against you, you might think Shaker great because I can just block off any chase down.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that hasn't changed. Is that honestly, I'd argue that it's easier to defend now with the Shaker because there's a lot more choke points. There's a lot more, the towers are closer together in the mid lane, so it's actually a better defensive hero. I think the hero as a roamer was definitely stronger when you could be both aggressive and defensive, but if you can pick him in a situation where you want to defend a hero like an OD, for example, it's going to be pretty effective.
Just watching this top lane and how they've actually set it up, they seem to be trying to very evenly split the XP between Pasha and Roger. Like, one at a time, basically back blocking the creep waves and getting control of those waves regularly.
Yeah, this is something that VP does even in situations where they have a winning lane. I think Oracle plus Ursa should probably beat Brew plus Willow, generally speaking. But even if VP like was the winning lane, they would probably pull the second wave just because it's so strong to have the creep wave right here in front of your tower. It lets you farm when you'd otherwise be pressured. It lets you run to their tower, bullying them if you have heroes that can pressure them. Just gives you so many options for winning the lane to have it static right here in front of the tower. It's quite dangerous for Gambit to be here. Forces FNG to go back and do a pull, which is exactly what he's doing now. Oh, never mind.
Oh, look at that. Centaur helping out in the bot lane. Sure, Felix can get away.
Oh yeah, he's pulling the new hard camp pull on FNG top. You can now pull it up, which is very cool.
Oh, that's really nice.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Takes you out of danger as well, in case they want to try and come in and contest.
Yeah.
Just running towards the tier 1 is very useful. So what do you actually think about the no Earthstruck build on Ursus? I know it's the most common one you see right now, and I understand it, but I still feel like sometimes the value point in just having one Earthstruck can be very useful considering the mana cost is so low, and then with the movement speed build you go for, you just help yourself to stay on.
Yeah, I agree. I'm always like a little contested on it, just because it's like I feel like if you're gonna go for Ursa with some disable on your team, you may as well just commit fully to like raw damage, and it's like, all right, I'm just gonna kill somebody in like an Oracle queue. But then there's situations where you run into where you're against like a Brewmaster in lane. If you just had a slow for him, he wouldn't be able to lane against you. I have seen people go like a point in Earthshock and then 2 points of Fury Swipes and skipping the overpower and using the Earthshock to do some harass with the Fury Swipes. I've seen that too more recently.
I think you have to go one way or the other is the problem. Here's the way they changed overpower when they changed it to just be max mana cost the whole time. All it is basically doing is saying if you've clicked a point into this, you're only getting gains. You're not getting additional mana cost at all. So like in people's minds, all of a sudden it's like the most efficient thing to do is this. I've got good movement speed anyway. Yes, the Earthshock would be useful, but I could just try and spike them down.
Yeah, it just feels like 25% slow is fairly useful for a value point considering how bad it scales afterwards. I mean, it still scales all right considering the max slow, but it's still fairly weak in its overall scaling compared to the one.
Yeah.
I think it's also like what does Ursa want to build, right? Like in terms of regen items. I mean, you get mana regen talent at 10, but that's a long way away.
Ooh, no one?
Oh, they're going on him anyway, aren't they? Yeah, they rotate in. The fish is on point. Immersion dives the tower. They get the first blood, and Immersion even lives.
That's a siege wave too. They're gonna get the tower. Tier 1s are super important against Tinker.
And
super important.
It should be pointed out that VP, they saw this coming. They actually cancelled both of the TPs on their supports because they thought the gank would end there. And Gambit just doubled down.
Yeah, you have the Prophet with the TP as well, being able to come. So really useful. And like you say, this tier 1 especially against a Radiant Tinker. Dire Tinker, sure, tier 1s are important, but I would argue not as important as a Radiant Tinker tier 1. Just a Radiant Tinker tier 1 opens up so much of the map for Dire side. And it also helps them with securing a Roshan for later on when you want to have for the Earth. So you've already removed that. You only have the Shrine that you can TP to.
No, so they're pressuring pretty hard right now, but this is kind of the annoying thing about this bear. Ridiculously high strength gain and a lot of armor to work with means it's not an easy kill either way.
Yeah, Roger's gotta be careful.
He can afford to do this though, because he does always have that Shadow Realm as an insta escape. Fun hero.
Yeah, it's pretty nice against her. So
I think I kind of like when they first released this hero, I kind of compared it to Scorched Earth, but better, right? It's like it's an escape, it's a harass, but you don't have to put yourself in danger.
It's honestly, it's another one of these abilities. It's like has 2 abilities in one. Oh, in the top lane.
Yeah, Pasha's got a Coolidge. All right, you were talking before about the max Wrath of Nature damage, and there's your preview.
Dude, its potential max damage at this point is 7. It's like 715, something like that on one target. That's unacceptably high for a 60-second cooldown global ability.
Goddamn horror story is what it is, and Daxak is trying to be the horror story here with the Enrage active. They're looking across on the Willow instead as the Fissure blocked them in. Roger can't escape, and they'll get this tier 1 tower. This is actually Gambit's rat lineup working better than the time last game where you would have thought it would have, right? With the DK and the Lycan, because there's nothing restraining them. There's no cooldowns.
Yep.
You just keep running it.
I really love this timing on Nature's Blightstone plus Basilius, and then you just show up on Siege Waves, or even just with a gank somewhere with the ultimate. Like the Blightstone makes it so the tower dies in less hits. The Basilius makes it so that your treants take like 1 or 2 extra hits from the tower. The creeps take 1 or 2 extra hits for the tower. It's so hard to deal with the Nature's Prophet hero if you go for these 2 items until the Tinker gets the Boots of Travel, but he's nowhere near.
Yeah, and then following it up with the Vlads as well is incredibly helpful. And when you look back at the draft as well, you know, if they would have gone for the Darkseer route, then you don't really have that early Vlads builder, whereas with Prophet, it just makes sense getting the early Vlads. You win another fight like that, you take Roche real fast, and then you can pressure another, like a tier 2 tower, you go bottom and remove tier 1 and tier 2.
Seems like the perfect game for the Prophet in that regard. Like, his items complement the Ursa so well and complement what they need to do at this stage in the game. And I mean, VP... they are going to be on the back burner for at least a few more minutes. As you said, no Boots of Travel on no one, and nowhere near, actually.
Oh, Pasha. Careful.
Pretty far out. We'll go for the TP away. The Enrage being used into Hack. That's a lot of misses, not a lot of hits.
Unfortunate. Even with the Overpower max out, none in Earthshock still doesn't have the damage. Forces him out of lane, though. He does just meander back to the top lane. He almost has a Vlad's on Brute. He's surprisingly not doing that bad, despite being against such a hard lane and getting zoned out constantly. Farm wise, he's not doing bad.
Bad.
Yeah, the Vlad's are gonna hit at the same.
Yeah, same. Actually, yeah, it looks pretty much spot on. I mean, Nature's has his now, but it's about 100 gold to go. 120 in fact for Pasha. Oh, Curse Crown coming out to Hack. Ramsey's moving across as well. But they just want to try and secure these runes. It's also good to have your troll nearby, right? Because you know in about the next 2-3 minutes, Ursa is likely to try and sneak Roche.
Yeah, you can just meander in there with the Nature's Prophet, TPs with the Treants. You'll never know. First
So loads of trouble. They just sprout him up. Venge might go down here, even with a Tinker nearby. No one doesn't have the damage to support that.
Every time you press this Wrath of Nature, every single lane just loses like, all of its creeps. And even if you don't get the last hits, it just doesn't matter. It's all about pushing in the waves so that somebody has to deal with it. Granted, you do have the Tinker to deal with it, but he doesn't have the bots yet, so...
It's like great power and great responsibility. When I press this button, someone will die.
Yeah, the level 6 power spike is insane right now on Nature's Prophet for sure.
It's pretty damn good. It's like the way I see it, it's similar to like Shadow Shaman pushing in lanes and like a Jakiro pushing in lanes where they're just pressuring towers and sure they die, but it's still such a potent play style. And Nature's Prophet does that globally with one ability in every lane.
mean, it's also like if you compare him to Shaman in that example, right? Shaman to actually push one of these towers would have to commit his big ultimate, whereas like you've separated those concerns. You can easily push him with the trees, you can support them, and you just fire and forget. Suddenly this ultimate is killing someone somewhere else while you're finding an additional objective on the other side of the map, potentially.
It does so much on a 60-second cooldown. And one hero that we haven't been paying any attention to, which, I mean, it's good, is Afro Ninja on the Outworld Devourer. He's just been kind of slowly building up a gold lead while everything is happening. He's third on net worth, next to the Prophet, who's kind of snowballing out of control, the Troll, who's been farming on his own as well, but he's almost got his 4-staff up on OD, which he's going for first. And then presumably he's going to start contributing to fights once he has that.
Ramses actually hasn't committed to a big item yet. He's still thinking about it. He's got almost 3k saved up. I feel like he really just wants to tap into that Battle Fury, but no one is not at a stage where it's feasible. I
think it does make sense to go for a Battle Fury just because you've already lost all the tier 1s. Okay, what do you get? Does he have the Yasha?
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone for the Battle Fury.
It makes sense because you've already lost all the tier 1s, right? So there's no point in fighting early with Troll and trying to secure the Tinker's early game because this has already been kind of rough for the Tinker a little bit. And he's just doing his own little catch-up farm. Unfortunately, they had to sack all the tier 1s for it. But at this point, you may as well just commit to the Battle Fury because you don't need to make any more space. Tinker's already got his bots. So he's good.
Pasha's going for the Midas as well. So VP basically they're just sticking themselves in a scenario where they have to buy as much time as possible now.
Hey, you got a Tinker on your team. You know, you can just hold out forever, build into late game items. But you're dealing with the Nature's Prophet, OD. Did he go for the 4-staff? He did. No Midas on OD. So looking to fight, but you have an Ursa with a Midas. Still will not farm as fast as you Troll with Battle Fury and Tinker, and then Pasha with his Midas.
Effective item value though, right? Like as you approach your second, third item, there's bigger power spikes for the Ursa that goes for like the BKB and the Basha.
Okay, so he did go for the Prophet did go for Midas. I was thinking that maybe the OD would swap it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was thinking OD would swap as well, maybe for Midas instead of the 4-staff, just because this game has... It's going to go late. There's a Tinker. It's going to go late game.
They're looking for Daxak.
You don't have much to catch him out.
He has got the Enrage, and he's going to have to use it just to get out of the Bramble Maze. Might look for the TP away. The problem is Solo's nearby and has the Wave of Terror. Looks the wrong way, sees the wrong way. Daxak, phase booting out. Needs some protection here. It's going to hurt a lot, and the Rock actually gets him. It hid. It was actually hidden by the Shadow Realm hit. He couldn't see it.
FNG couldn't save him. Oh, he might end up dying here.
No, Ramses can't get close enough. He hits pretty damn hard with that Demon Edge pickup.
That was unfortunate space, though, I guess, for your OD.
It's really helpful for VP, though, just making more space for no one. And I'm getting that kill, getting him closer to... Like you mentioned with the Battle Fury, it definitely makes sense. You see the Midas on the Ursa. You go back, you get some farming items. You pick up the Midas on Pasha as well, so he can work towards the Radiance if he wants to go down that route. And just make it a bit harder for the Ursa to fight, especially since he's aiming for the Blink Dagger. So if you get a Radiance up before he can get a BKB, considering Ursa will most likely go for different items after the Blink Dagger. Usually you don't want to pick up BKB that early. Then, yeah, you get a lot of value out of having this Midas into Radiance if you can get some good fights off of it as well, or just have the space to farm.
Against OD as well, just the mischances. OD's not a huge fan, and then you force out a BKB because you have the mischance from Tinker, mischance from the Radiance, mischance from Troll. You definitely need a BKB on OD at some point, maybe even a Monkey King. Or
until that point, these fights, when Gambit approached them, like first in their mind has to be the Brew, right? He has to just be eliminated instantly. And you can't give him the time to really get that Radiance, because if you don't have the BKBs online by then, you mentioned the mischance, that's going to screw over us first. And Merchant, he's alone here. No way out of that. We'll try and help him. We get a Fissure out at least. He can get follow-up stun, but it's too late. He is dead. And on the side, Oracle go down to secure a double kill for Tinker.
That was a really good swap by Solo. He swapped FNG down into one of the brambles so he couldn't reach to get ulti up.
Nice.
Probably the ride for Gambit. I mean, the lead is slightly there for Gambit. Just under a 1k net worth lead. But you just look at the net worth positions right now. The hack is starting to fall behind Ramses, and this is going to accelerate even more. The Battle Fury compared to the Midas, I expect, what, in the next 8 minutes, that to be a free 4k net worth lead?
Yeah, for sure. Troll just took a huge Ancient stack too, and he pings it, just saying, like, hey guys, stack this for me. I'm gonna just farm. Tinker also taking the right side jungle. Brew can just aggressively push out top. VP's getting some nice efficiency off the map right now, whereas on Gambit, they have all of their cores in the same area, although they're looking to smoke. That's why they were grouped up.
Yeah, they got the blink.
Blink is out of Versa.
The hack wants to do something, whether it's Roche or clawing someone's face off. It looks like it'll have to be Roche.
I like this play a lot. This is really nice.
They don't have the blink on Shaker as well, though. He's a little bit short, but BP, are they going to notice that they've smoked up? They have to be suspicious of this. Bash are going to move forward. The enragement use. They just want to finish off the Roche right now. Terrorize going to come out split as well. But no, Egg is picked up by Daxak. Can they find the value? Oracle, get low on HP, will go down. The Fissure cannot protect. And now they surround it up. Goes trying for the TP away. Gets swapped back towards his death, though. They lose 2. They do at least secure the Roche, though.
I'm surprised VP was able to predict that they're rushing, because that was a really nice call from Gambit. I know it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but sneaking into the Roche pit when VP is like all standing near the Roche pit is the last thing that you would expect. It's kind of like hiding in plain sight, you know. But VP, they looked like they were going to smoke towards the mid or bot lane, and then they were just checking the Roche pit just in case. And then they see that the smoke breaks, so Panda just immediately splits and runs into the pit. And they get 2 free pickoffs. Well, it's not free, actually. It costs them the Aegis, but the pickoffs are important. The Nature's Prophet was the highest net worth in the game. And now Troll is surpassing him, and looks like Tinker's going to very soon as well.
How do you play this next as Gambit? I mean, you've got that Aegis, but what's your pickoff? What weapons? What's the entrance kill, the ideal one for VP? Is it still going to be the Brew?
I think they can honestly just kind of go for anyone that they... Or like... Yeah, I think you want to try and catch the Brew if you can. It's probably the easiest kill you can get for Gambit if you want to go in, but you definitely need to get this Basher up as well then to be able to lock him down fully. Because unless Immersion gets his blink, which he's very close to now, you just finish it off. So you're definitely going to have the lockdown for it, but it's still so hard with both the Tinker and the Troll being so farmed. Troll's going to get close to his BKB to finish that up, which means that he can just frontline. You have the Tinker in the background putting marches down, and Troll can just stand and hit towers. And then they have swap if they try and go for an echo on it.
They do have the blink up on Earthshaker though. This is a big reveal. If they can get a good fight going here, like just have the OD go in, have somebody go in and bait, and then have Immersion hit the echo, hit the huge echo, because he has 3 points in Aftershock. He went for a 3-1-3 build. He's baiting on mid lane. He's pinging. Guys, let's take a fight. They don't know I blink.
Trying for the preemptive strike, because you mentioned those marching machines, and that is kind of the issue, is that VP can create those buffer zones, but that takes time to set up. So you just need to basically jump in, take them by surprise, get that first kill. Because if you end up in a kind of stalemate, face-off scenario, VP clearly have the advantage, right?
Yeah, for sure. The ideal scenario right now is to somehow catch the Tinker in the Echo, the initial Echo, or at least the Fissure afterwards. So he can't just keep spamming March. If you can interrupt a rearm, it does wonders, and his blink as well.
Oh, the hack?
He's in the trees.
No, he cancels it. He thought something was not right there, and the hack actually wouldn't have seen him initially anyway.
Immersion was S-canceling the Fissure though, so he was ready for it.
Nicely read by no one. Instead, VP are going to try and exploit the movement of Gambit and take this tier 1 in the mid. And they get it in time.
I do like this Blink Dagger pickup from Panda though on Pasha, and then going for the BKB, because then you can definitely just, once you get the BKB on Troll, you just put him up front, let him hit towers. If they ever go on him, you either swap him out or you just counter initiate with a Brew, and then you've got the fight in your hands, because you most likely the way you got to initiate on him, I mean, you can jump with the Ursa, but then you can swap him out, or if they jump with the Echo, you've kind of blown an Echo for nothing.
All right. It's also kind of just committing more to the idea that you said where like Troll can go in and just frontline. You can also have Brood blink in, BKB, once a BKB is down, Primal split, and this gives time for Tinker to do damage. And like when you have a Tinker on your team, you don't need to do any damage. Here it is. Okay, right on the Earthshaker.
Yeah, they find him. He's already used the Fissure. No escape from that. Just dies almost instantly. I gotta actually give credit to no one the way he's playing this, right? We sometimes see it from the Prophets where they fake TP everywhere. He's been doing this constantly. He's just basically been distracting Gambit before his team is in position.
And the TP baits on Tinker are actually really important. It's one thing that separates really good Tinkers from decent Tinkers is You can force so much with this hero, just knowing your own impact.
Oh, that was unfortunate. He didn't want to pop the enrage, so he didn't get the brute kill, and now he might be in trouble if he's not careful here. They forced out the false promise onto FNG himself just so he can survive the Tinker's attack.
Going on the backlines, very important. So, something you wouldn't expect from a Tinker, though, is to blink at the backlines, but going for the Oracle first is the play, for sure. Or you can just set him up with the Panda.
The Hawk got clipped by March there as well. He wanted to jump in on Ramses right when they were pushing down the tier 1. Got clipped by March and couldn't get it. But yeah, like you said, once he uses his blink and goes for... Once the Ursa goes for the backlines, you have no threat of getting bashed on the Tinker, so you can just blink aggressively. Because if Immersion isn't there, you're not going to get locked down. And if you've seen Immersion use any of his spells, you just kill off the backline and then just become a nuisance for them.
Yep. The only thing he has to be worried about is getting like Astraled in the fight, but... He went for the Ether Lens. I would definitely say there's like a really good Ether Lens game on Tinker. It's either Kaya or Ether Lens. Usually not both. Ether Lens is always great when you want to like use your laser in fights and you want to kind of get in there, but they have these abilities to kind of catch you out. Not these like long range jumps like Storm Spirit. It's just like the fissures and the astrals where like if you're a little bit too close, they'll clip you. But with the Ether Lens, it's almost impossible to catch Tinker. Even with the Fissure, it's very hard. He just has all these angles he can go from with the Ether Lens. And he even has a Ghost Scepter that he built. So if the Ursa does blink on him, he's not a threat. The OD's not even a threat. They kind of need to like Astral and to disable him, or they need to Echo the Tinker, or bash him first hit with Ursa. Which, that's kind of asking a lot at this point.
And we're still waiting on any Echo at all. So far, Merchant hasn't had the opportunity to use this blink aggressively. Pressure just continues. Like, they never seem to be in position in time to respond to VP's moves. That yours coming out. The hack will escape.
Gambit's looking to fight this.
That was going to go down.
They can maybe get the Tinker in the trees.
Oh, they see him. The thing's coming out right now. No one. Going to be attacked here. Sprouted up. Has the Ghost Scepter though. BKB active. Afon swapped away though. They're just trying to make sure there's no threat to Tinker. They do have to throw down the ult. It's not enough. Ramsey stays alive. Battle Trance. Ruin up Ursa. The Echo Slam on the back line. Not achieving much. In fact, it's just a whiff as Immersion dies. And Ursa will go down into the grave with him. Ramsey stays alive. They're pursuing for more. Magic Missile comes out. OD protected by the false promise, but the clap's going to be there. The Yule's up, and when he comes down, he hasn't really got many teammates left to protect him. The Sprout to try and buy enough time. Odakuli's doing everything he can, but he can't keep OD alive. He can't even keep himself alive, as the supports will just try and run him down. With the Curse Crown coming out, he gets Invis just in time. Moving in. Clap's going to be there. Stun just in range of the Sentry here, and the laser from no one will get the kill.
What a fight.
Solo's on point with his swaps. Like,
no hesitation.
Really on point. Yeah, swapping away Afro there to make sure that no one got his blink up again. It's these small things that just makes the fight go so well for me.
Yep, because Immersion had Echo for that. It's just that the blink was just barely not canceled due to the swap. So he just couldn't get in range to get the blink off an Echo. So if that was like, if that swap wasn't there, or if it was 0.3 seconds later, Tinker gets echoed, they lose that fight. For sure. Tinker did almost all of the damage in that fight. Everybody else was just kind of frontlining for him, creating chaos.
And as you said, Weapons, it came down to that move by Solo, that swap out. This is kind of really indicative of him as a player, as a support that we've come to kind of realize over time. Is, you know, we talk about these sacrificial supports. You can kind of tell that he is, shall we say, smoothly just settled into that role and is always happy. I think he's the only POS 5 I so regularly see this double bracer build on, and it's for justified reason. He is always balls deep.
Yeah, and he knows that Roger wants to get farm as well, so just get tanky. Make sure you can use all your abilities. I mean, that's one of the most important things when it comes to Dota. Just cast. And if you have these double bracers on a 5 that's not going to get a lot of farm, and you know you're not going to get a lot of farm, you'll be able to get off all your abilities in a fight, or you'll be able to put yourself in a situation to save your teammates, which is going to be really helpful, especially when you have these types of heroes like a Tinker and Brewmaster that wants to get a split off as well.
Speaking of Tinker, I'll be interested to see what item he goes for next, whether it's like the Aghanim Scepter for the mischance, the right clickers of Gambit, or Sheepstick so they can get a little bit of additional lockdown, maybe Bloodstone, maybe Dagon for the damage.
He could just finish off the E-Blade early as well to help out when the Ursa tries to jump a target, just have that extra save for...
That's
they're the ones jumping the target. Swap comes in, and Oracle is in a deep mess. No assistance either. Look at the rest of that Gambit. They just say, nope, leave, retreat right now. Roche.
Straight into the Roche pit.
Yeah, it's up. So Troll says thank you. I'd love a second life. Maybe you even think about giving this to Tinker. I'd imagine it's going to go into the hands of Ramses, though.
Yeah, probably Ramses. Because Tinker respawning, it's pretty easy to guarantee that if you kill him once, you're probably going to kill him when he respawns anyway.
Yeah, and obviously he can fight back, right? Like, he can instantly just get back into the fight anyway. So it's kind of a pseudo Aegis in these big fights.
Right, yeah, exactly. Makes sense. Troll got Sanch and Yasha, going for the Satanic, 50% status resistance, pretty broken. Makes it so Earthshaker cannot actually combo you. You can just get your BKB off after he echoes, before he fissures.
Actually, one of the most frustrating things.
Yeah, it's very, very frustrating. Tinker appears to be going for a Sheep Stick, just that additional lockdown. Definitely good to, get these pickoffs on the side lanes. If you can get like the Nature's Prophet or the OD or something like that, you can just end the game off of that pickoff.
Well, Solo, just giving his life for the cause. He was pretty far forward, so I think we can just classify that under tanking a gank.
Yeah, but look how tanky he was as well. It's almost a full overpower gets used just to kill off the Avenge. Usually you see him dying in 2 or 3 hits, especially if you pop the ultimate. Now he didn't use the ultimate, but full overpower just to get solo. Makes it hard for the Hawk, and if he gets his BKB up, it's going to be useful to just chase down and hopefully stick on the Tinker if you can find the Tinker. But it's still, the Ghost Scepter's there, so if you don't get the bashes, then he's just kind of run away from you.
One of the nicest things about Venge, actually, is the Agi gain that she has. Sitting on 13 armor with no armor items. She has 50% physical resist, and then 1600 HP.
Roger. Gambit, you'll give credit to Gambit. VP having the Aegis, you wouldn't expect Gambit to do this once, let alone twice, playing in VP's jungle the way they are.
I love that they're just defending this high ground ward spot, though. They're just like, all right, you want to come up here, you want to fight us into high ground. You have Earthshaker with Echo Slam. You have a Basher on Ursa. This is our spot. It's better to do this than to just have like no area on the map that you're farming. They got a lot of value out of that ward. Now it despawns. They leave when it despawns. That's like the most value that you can get out of a ward like that.
Yeah, just playing around it constantly.
You see, like, our value, our value has been claimed. Our job here is done.
Yeah. Nice play from Gambit. Really nice. They're keeping themselves in this game.
Trying to buy as much time as possible, although how much of the map are you able to take control of while VP have this Aegis is the question. I mean, Akulich has done a good job of getting huge value out of this top lane so far. Bot lane as well.
Cutting the wave bot. God, I love this hero. Usually I'm the one playing it, so I can imagine it's pretty awful to play against. Like this sort of stuff, cutting the wave with the extra treants at level 15, which he actually went for the 10 armor because he's this tanky build. But with the Vlads, your treants just clear a whole wave because they have lifesteal, they could do extra damage,
although,
and then your ultimate.
VP don't seem to care. They've just bypassed this. A creep wave snuck in.
Kill the creeps, boys!
They're not going to do it quick enough. The melee racks will go down. Even if you stun him up, Ramses will not stop. The cliff's going to come out now, but he hits so hard because of that damage talent. He could probably just work through the back door if need be.
Oh my god, the trees.
Yeah, it's
the
actually
trees.
blocking it. He finally realizes where he actually cut the tree correctly, and he'll get the melee rack, so value gained for VP.
That would have been sick if that protected it until backdoor came out. Although I think Troll hits fast enough that you can just tear through backdoor.
Yeah, especially with this damage. Look how hard he's hitting. He's almost at 300 damage.
Yep, and there's a DD rune on the top lane. Vice's Reaver, TP's top. And take Ancients, presumably go get the DD, and then they'll take mid. But Ursa, Daxak gets the DD.
What do you think of this build, by the way, Wepas? The BKB plus the stats resistance when you've got a Tinker in your team. It feels like you are fulfilling your role, right? You're just meant to tank more than anything else.
Even without a Tinker in your team, I really like this on Troll. You just always are going to be able to get your ultimate off because of that full status resistance.
Oh my god.
They're going to catch Immersion out here.
Yeah. He was actually just sitting, he had his sentry down, he thought he was safe. And they caught just a glimpse of him because of the River Ward. Now they're going to chase for more. The Hex is going to come out. Oracle's been seen as well. The swap forward solo says, I want that kill.
Has a gem too, so...
And they managed to protect the siege as well.
Yep.
Just about.
5 HP. It's got all the auras, plus 17 damage. It's got extra attack speed, minus armor on the towers.
This seems to be the sad story of Akulich as well. He's done it again. He is cutting the creep
Down
wave,
bottom.
but they already got one way through.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to do this on a siege creep wave. Fortunately, though, it's low enough that immersion can kill it. Where did OD die? Oh no!
He died bottom
That's-
to Tinker.
Oh, yeah, he went down.
That
Unexpected.
might be game.
Yeah, that should just be megas.
You can't stop it.
On the OD, and if you try and go in and fight, unless you get an amazing echo here, there's nothing you can really.
They're not stacking.
still
Instead,
able.
they're going to split preemptively and just look to go. The Hex did come on a solo, but now you commit a lot of control there. Where is it for the rest of the team? BKB on Daxak just so you can run away, essentially. Stun out the Prophet so you can't get involved. Cyclone up in the air. Oracle won't be able to save anyone. And Ramsey says base. Hit base right now. We want those megas. And Bruce going to come out. Prophet. He's found. He's dead. The fissure will not change that outcome. Oracle not able to save anyone's life because of these Cyclones, and the GG comes out. VP take the series 2-1, keeping the standard way of winning series alive.
The VP way.
3,400. What is that? What is that reference?
140 GG.
Is that the did he control pace the Roche time? Is that what he did?